watching the clock, 10,000 hours go by. I keep putting in work, the tears are filling my eyes. I swear I've never been tested like this, but this is mine. It's not a matter of chance, just a matter of time. Never look back. If something's standing in my way, I always push back. If something seemed impossible, I never took that. Nah, cause now I know better. Can't stop, won't stop, I won't quit ever. The highest fall, it won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me. I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
Welcome back, guys, to the LCK. This is Joel once again helping you guys with the translation for the Dangon and Bittle session as they cover the post-match analysis of the game between BBQ and MVP, which seemed as if for the first few parts of the game, BBQ was looking to be ahead and seemingly taking the game away from MVP, but MVP did get a comeback win in the end. And we saw that the Nocturne was being in play once again, just going to contribute to how it all went too. It really wasn't much of a factor until we got to the comeback stage, where it was the biggest contributor, obviously, with that team fight at the end. But this is where we can see, keep your eyes on Brown. This is where it all kind of all began. Harry definitely had the shield up just to make sure the shield was already up there, so no more shield. Means that Q just running away, and Max was kind of awkwardly in a weak position. Just imagining if the Braum had that shield, all those damage coming in from Lucian and so forth would have been negated to a larger extent. So just that one little inch difference that allowed BBQ to be extra aggressive on that turn got the MVP, not the plays they wanted out of that situation. So a bit of a situation where BBQ knew how to take care of the advantages that they had to go in very aggressively. MVP really faulting on their mistakes and took the biggest punishment for it. And we also had to look at the team fight. It really was continuously just working towards trying to make a successful team fight every single moment, and every opportunity they got from BBQ was what they had to do. And here's another one. Team fight did open up, and Vladimir did come in and had to just go in, and really just a ultimate coming in, hitting 3 members of MVP, and Nocturne obviously looking towards Lucian, trying to get the range champion first. But we saw that this going here, and how this all came through was just to really hold steadfast in terms of how it all just healthy endurance there. We actually just saw going forward here, and the Ashe damage was kind of absorbed by the Mundo, and still moving forward and allowed the rest of the members of BBQ to go in for the rest of MVP, and even the Galio going down in the end. And that was really all about BBQ once again trying again and again to make these team fights work for them, and really got to a phase where these guys were feeling a lot great. Until the late game, obviously we knew what happened after that, where MVP did have a big comeback to change the tide of the game. That's how we all came to be, where we showed a lot of highlights of BBQ winning the team fight. Just went to show that the advantages given by MVP towards BBQ allowed them a big advantage. But in the end, MVP did what it took to turn the game around towards their favor and eventually won out that 1-0. And it just feels like a 2-0 will not be a turn. This time around, once again, said by the fans here. And it really is a close matchup as we already witnessed in game number 1. And another win given over to the Nocturne is another fan saying that the OP ratings of how the win rate has been so good for that one champion. Just goes to show you. Let's see how the Bittle, how he's going to summarize all this game up into a one-line summary. And really a pattern, obviously a cycle, as we saw from BBQ mostly, but maybe MVP. Anything you want to say? Let's see. What's more important than Nocturne is the pattern of how they won the game. So Nocturne, how you use it is the most important thing, and game 1 was used wisely by that one champion. We'll send it back to you guys.
Was it used wisely though? Because MVP basically lost that game until they won.
Look, it's the old adage, Atlas. It's not the size of your lead, it's how you use it.
Oh, God. And Ian's going to pick up the MVP for that particular lead. His Galio was pretty fantastic. Honestly, felt like MVP were almost gifted that kill, that win. But his Galio certainly was part of the reason why it did work out. Hero's entrance is on point. Positioning around the map, certainly on point.
Interesting game. I think BBQ will know this is one that got away. This is definitely a love connection that they just, you know, was passing ships in the night. They weren't able.
Yeah, didn't get her number when you met her on the plane, that sort of thing.
It all looked so good. It was all so promising, but unfortunately for them, mismanaged their lead, and Ghost coming in for a flank when no one else was responding. This led to the first pick. There was 2, there was 3, and MVP steals one away from BBQ. You wonder how the mentality will be on the BBQ side, because this is definitely one that hurts.
Yeah. And Ghost had so many items, just couldn't do anything in this fight at all. Had to use everything to get out. A2D, this was the one barrel to rule them all. It was a cavalcade of everything else going right for MVP. However, that was still a good one. And that meant Elder, that meant Baron, and that meant the game. And the pick for MVP. You notice you didn't see very much of the early game. That's because that was a lot of BBQ doing winning.
I think game 2 is going to be a very different draft because MVP are now on the red side, and I think if you're MVP, you ban the stock standard. You just ban away the Nocturne, the Talia. You take away what is being first with the Aatrox as well. But BBQ are going to make a change, and you have to think that means our boy Trick's back.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting tricky in the jungle. I think if you want to change things up, make adjustments. Bono had a good early game. Man, he played probably one of the best games in the first 20 minutes that we've seen from him. However, it wasn't enough to close it out in the late game. And Trick, this is a guy that's been doing battles at Worlds, looking real great while doing it. He's going to join the roster here, try and flip the mentality of the BBQ roster. And when it can't be good right now, Papa, it can't be in a good state after that loss.
Now, they've dropped 3 games in a row, none of them with Trick. It was also Bono playing in that series against Jinair. Trick versus Yondu is our jungle matchup. BBQ on the blue side, I'm sure they would love to first pick a Nocturne, but like I mentioned, can't really see that coming through. So I imagine we will see just a lot changing here in game number 2.
Yeah, Ares not going to make his way in either. Ghost is going to keep his spot on the roster, so that is going to be your squads. We'll see whether our EU duo in Trick and Ignar can get together, find some synergy as we move into Champion Select for game number 2. MVP, counterpick available on the red side, and BBQ. Now, what do they want to ban away specifically? As Zoe is once again going to be taken off the board. Morgana going to be the first ban against Max.
Are we just going to speed our way to Sejuani first pick and Trundle answered pick? Seems like that's a very big possibility in the draft, as they don't want to first pick the Zoe. I know, Atlas, I know.
Yeah.
But does seem like that's the way the draft is going.
Aatrox and Nocturne, of course, going to be banned away. BBQ, what are they going to do? They've got all the flexibility. Shen is going to leave the Rift, and MVP now looking for that Talia button by the looks of things.
That would mean first pick Sejuani, very, very likely. First pick Kindred, if Trick's been practicing it, possible as well. Again, I like it from MVP. Ban the new red side trio. Don't want to leave anything up open. Swain flex pick is there as well. BBQ can take that. It's also a very apt choice. Now, if you see a Sejuani, you can take the Kindred. If you see a Kindred, you can just choose a pathing jungler and make strong lanes around it. Doesn't show anything. So far, so good.
MVP, what do they decide to go with? Yondu on the Sejuani does make some sense for me. So, of
100%.
course, that one's going to be locked in.
His best performing champion by far is the Sejuani this year, so we'll be taking that. Where you go with this pick is open to debate. A lot of teams take Vladimir in this spot and start flexing it all over the place. Could also take different tone if you want. This is where you kind of open up the draft here if you're MVP.
Rakan is available as well. Certainly, you know, Tom Kench, something like that. Ezreal. Pilot, of course, did make his debut here on MVP, playing some pretty fantastic Ezreal games. It was me and my favorite thing, which is low sample size. And his Ezreal
we getting it. It'll be the first time this week for a couple of days. We're not getting it.
All right. So the Trundle versus Sejuani not looking like the thing, or maybe Trick's just playing with us. He does tend to hover some stuff.
I think Trundle would make a lot of sense because you have the Swain as well, but the Kindred is a fine choice if you're feeling confident. Guess Trick's feeling confident.
And it begs the question as to why they subbed Bono out, because he just had a great performance on the Kindred, and then they just moved Trick in, and he's going to play Kindred anyway. But we mentioned the fact that Kindred does require a lot of finesse, and Trick certainly having a lot more experience could mean that he will be able to pilot it a little bit better, no pun intended. Tempt now hovering the Gragas to take away the Gragas counterpick to the Kindred.
Yeah, compositional. Strong pick can be, of course, support on top lane. And also, like you say, an answer to the Lamb's Respite denied from MVP. They'll want another displacement option if they can get it.
And the Gragas of support has been played by Ignar more than any other of our supports, I'm pretty sure. So a true flex pick for BBQ, not a theoretical one that we talk about with a lot of other teams.
Okay.
Ian, gonna lock away the Kled, and I love this for MVP. I mentioned it when they were up against Kingzone earlier on in the week. This is a true flex for MVP as well. Ian's been spamming it in solo queue and ADD. He's always played the Kled. So exciting to see what MVP are going to do. BDD tried it in our first series of the night. It didn't work. Can MVP make it work here on the red side as we move into the ban phase?
So ADD have a great game on Kled before Rift Rivals, but they weren't able to actually close the game out. They weren't actually able to play the macro style. Kind of the same strategy that we saw BBQ unable to wield in game number 1. So hopefully they've cleaned up their Kled engages, whoever's going to be picking it up. They're going to ban away the Renekton, saying, don't want that in any lane, please. Grace already showed us the way on the Renekton matchup. Will you ban the Fiora as well? Because that is the pick that has been mooted as the good answer into the Kled.
Well, Mundo going to be taken away here by BBQ. Don't want to have to deal with that guy on the top side of the map. That's them assuming that this Kled is going into the mid lane when ADD clearly has the most experience. However, reading what Rogue Warriors did to Kingzone just a week ago certainly is something that they wanted to look into, expecting Ian, who has been spamming it in solo queue, to also want to play the champion. Rakan going to be banned away, though, on the side of MVP and BBQ. Thinking about their final one, Darius standing out just a little bit if you want to be banning strong top laners, I guess.
Decision is, normally it's Darius versus Mundo, but you're right, you can just power pick Darius if you want to. But Darius going to be banned away, so I think MVP will want to flex this Kled for as long as possible. So maybe support at this pick, and why not a takeaway support? One of the big reasons the last game was so tricky was Ignar's ability to set up plays on the Alistar.
Yeah, and I like this lane too. Sort of works similarly to that of the Vladimir.
Kingzone special from back in the day.
Yeah.
Ezreal Tom Kench would be the Gen G special, and Ezreal Alistar the...
Oh, but this could certainly be a special on the bottom side as well, as Ghost and Ignar could team up with the Fat Man and the Flute player.
Oh no, not BBQ Vladimir. This one has been a problem. They're going to do it anyway.
Again, hopefully Tempt's playing it, Papa. Give Crazy the Swain. Or give Ghost the Swain. I don't know. We've got 2 bot lane mages in here. Just pick the Rise. Just throw them everywhere. Let's go.
Yeah, we'll see how they approach this one. Ostensibly looking for a solo laner, but could be a support as well if Ignar doesn't want to take it. They wait a long time here to BBQ, and Cho'Gath. All right, we're going for Cho'Gath this game.
We're going through it for a lot of bruises as well. Trick going to be the only sort of ranged marksman style of player on the squad. Did work out for Jin'e, of course. Humpty making it look good. But Bono had a great early game, followed up by a not-so-great late game on the champion. And Ghost going to be teaming up most likely with that Gragas, as we're going to have a mid lane Swain and a top lane Cho'Gath, by my reckoning.
And I think MVP is smart to go for a very flexible top lane that can lane against anything. because I actually think this might be a mid lane Cho'Gath from Tempt.
Ooh.
It's a possibility. Try to deal another bruiser. We saw Renekton versus the Kled already be a great matchup for the Renekton. We'll wait and see. Could also just farm as the Swain or Vladimir.
There's a lot of tricky
there's
little
so
flexes.
many flexes going on here.
We could be moving the Vladimir to the top lane as well. I mean, we've still got 10 seconds before we're going to find that one out. I'd actually really love to have Vlad into Gnar. Sounds way better than being Cho'Gath into Gnar, who'd get bullied a little bit.
Waiting to see the final decision.
Going to be mid lane Swain, with Ghost piloting once again the Vladimir. So it was a last minute switch, wasn't the Cho'Gath to mid lane. It is going to be the Gnar into Cho. Pretty standard tanky matchup that ADD should have a bit of control of early on. But what can Ian do on the Kled is the question on everyone's lips.
I'm a big fan already. He's gone Ignite, so he hasn't gone for the teleport that we didn't like. See, I waved the finger at anyone, or wagged the finger at anyone.
Yeah.
Goes for the teleport. Kled, let's get in there and brawl with the Ignite.
The next question on the quiz is going to be press the attack or conqueror.
That's true.
See whether he made that mistake as well, or whether he has impressed Pop Smithy with his keystone choices.
Just
at the
copy
same time.
Doinby exactly. He knows what he's doing.
There we go. This guy's been playing it on purpose for months. Just ridiculous.
And we got a new Kindred player. Same team, same champion, different player. Let's see how Trick does. If
know-
he can get a good start, because Bono, pretty decent in game number 1.
Yeah, he was certainly decent, but didn't quite have the finesse down like you were talking about earlier on. So we'll see whether Trick can use that experience to understand exactly when to go in, when to not go in. Ladies and gentlemen, MVP, they somehow have momentum moving into game number 2. BBQ got so close in game 1. We'll have to see whether they can turn what was a difficult defeat around, turn it into positivity, and take out MVP in game 2. Let's get to it. Here, there's not that many people here, but they are so passionate. These fans, the really passionate ones for both of these teams, always feel like they can probably get a seat in the auditorium. But man, it feels good when you can hear the desperation from everyone. Everyone's so invested.
Whoa.
Damn, some of these pitches are so good.
Looks kind of like a penguin.
Yeah, was that supposed to be Swain?
Hard to say.
I was pretty perplexed, actually.
Good news, Ian copy-pasted the rune set and summoners from good old Kled. Good job with that. We'll see how the performance is. That's a pretty good performance.
Yeah, he's doing well so far. Plus, he's got another chicken champion. Perfect. Just running it back.
I'm not in my head. I like what I see. Pilot's gone cleanse.
And ADD's gone face check into crazy. It's not
This'll
what
hurt
you
a
want.
lot.
There's, yeah.
Oh, Scorch as well. Take that.
Void Spikes. Feels fantastic.
Broken ability, 50% of his health at level 1.
I know. If you land all 3 of them, though, that's what's going to happen.
Let's talk about the jungle pathing. It's been blue buff into top side, so it seems like we're going to be fighting for top side scuttle here. Kindred got the inside track, skipping along.
Well, it's Yondu. It's going to take the gamble, see whether he can deny Rift Scuttle mark. And it is. Denial this time. Wasn't against Bono. He got the good RNG.
He abandons trying to take the top side one after the initial start. Probably smart. Not going to be able to out-skirmish the Kindred. And his mid laner, unlikely to be able to walk over and be too helpful. It's going to be in vision.
Yeah, spots exactly what's going on. And the red buff should be the next option here for Yondu, you'd expect. And we'll see whether Trick is going to contest him, go for that 3 buff.
It's really beneficial for Crazy that he gets the Scuttlecrab vision, because usually the Cho'Gath, kind of like Rumble, ends up pushing and then getting taken down pretty easily. So, has a bit more information here, a bit more eyes. Does Crazy can put down a ward in the Tri-Brush and find out most of the entrances from the enemy jungler.
Interestingly enough, ADD's gone for the fleet footwork, so keeping himself a little bit more healthy, meaning that that first trade was not as punishing, despite the fact that he did have to use his potion.
Yeah, a bit curious. Trying to think about where else he could have gone.
Grasp the Undying?
That would have been Resolve Tree, but he wanted to go Precision to try to harass and get those extra attack speed to be able to harass quite frequently in lane. Not always very frustrating to itemize against as he gets more points in his Hyper. Crazy's gone common. You see this pretty commonly on the Cho'Gath for just the Feral Scream trades, where you can get a pretty decent trade in without investing too much.
At the moment, it's not going to be that 3-buff this time around. Trick's early game not quite up to snuff in comparison to Bono's as far as early pathing. Yondu probably learnt from his initial experience, which was getting 3-buffed and pretty much destroyed as far as pathing was concerned.
Trick was able to watch on game 1, or the ramifications there. So while he can't replicate the same dunking that his protege Bono was able to do, does have benefit of hindsight onto Yondu's play.
Also, you know, Yondu now on the Sejuani instead of the Nocturne,
True.
Probably a little bit more happy in the earlier stages.
But are they really that different when it comes to farming to 6? Not so much.
I was looking for a way of, you know, making Yondu look better or Trick look better at the same time, but didn't really find any success on either, as Tempt, I believe, just missed the cannon creep. Tilted forever.
Plenty of time to see some great super plays. I'm going to inspect the Kled and see if we finally have someone whose Kled we can hold up to a high standard. So far, everyone's been kind of okay on the Kled.
I felt like Khan looked good, but top lane Kled is not a question mark that we've really had. It's the mid lane Kled that people have had to learn about.
He's also 1-for-1. He has 2 wins on Kled. One of the games was basically a passenger. The second game is pretty good, so I'll wait and see. I'm reserving my judgment, but you can be glass half full if you like.
You are a tougher critic than I, Pop Smithy. But even on farm at the moment, I'm going to give that to Ian. Not bad. Range versus melee matchup and all that. As Ignar's going to come in. Yondu round the corner. Ian's going to turn up, but unable to get in there in time. His teleport from Tempt to get him back to lane was used in the right place in order to confirm that, and Mark goes over to Trick's Kindred.
He's going to go Bloodrazor, so he's actually going for the solo queue build we saw in our first series of the day.
Yeah.
Umti did it once, and now Trick has done it once. He's had about 10 or 11 Warrior Kindreds ever since Score brought it out. Sort of thing where I saw Score do it, and I obviously understood that it's about bigger damage to champions in a shorter window of time, but looking over on pro builds and other Korean solo queue and around the world, everyone had been going Bloodrazor for the longest time, so it was a surprise.
It was a bit strange, I have to admit.
If you talk about the lanes right now, the Cho'Gath doing very well against the Gnar. This should turn after a couple of items. Swain very comfortable in mid, and bot lane will also increasingly get better. So potential that you just go Bloodrazor for neutral secure and speed on that.
Also, maybe Trick feeling like he's the only one on the team with his mental that's not Boom. So wanting to potentially hard carry this one by himself and give himself the best opportunity to get the most damage done that he possibly can.
He hit 6 and he has Ignite, but do they have kill pressure here is a question we might find the answer to.
Tempt looks like he definitely doesn't want to, as he's hanging out in the mid lane, but staying back, not giving Yondu any ways in. Level 4 only for the Sejuani, level 5 for Trick. But he will be able to ding level 5 here off the Popcorn Chickens.
One of the optimistic points for BBQ, going from Bono to Trick. You know, he talked about, well, it's the same champion, he had a great Kindred game, why not Bono? Is theoretically should be a lot more communication available with Trick in the roster. A veteran player who's played around the world and had success around the world. You would hope that he would have been a bit more on point with some of the macro calls his team failed in game number 1.
Oh, speaking of failing, Tempt just not hitting very many of his buttons and getting smacked down by Ian. That's the attack showing exactly why it's important, as you can land a lot of consecutive hits on this Kled.
Max on the roam on his Alistar. Looking around the mid lane, there's some kill pressure here. Remember, 7 minutes in, they've got that 40-second window. Actually, doesn't even have the
In goes the
stopwatch.
charge. Trick is here. Good positioning as Ian's going to jump off. In goes Max. Lamb's Respite is going to keep the cow alive for quite some time, but he's now taking the turret, and he's going to go down. It was the Hexa flash that he had available, no actual flash, and BBQ are going to punish the dive from MVP.
Hectic timing, actually, from Trick in the right place at the right time. Tempt certainly would have died. No stopwatch enabled, no stopwatch even taken on the perfect timing rune. Great job by Trick, bails out his mid laner. We'll watch the replay. Watch what happens here. Max takes his time. I think Ian goes about a second and a half too early, and thus is dismounted and doesn't do damage very quickly. Trick is in the right spot, has just enough mana. Max had used his flash for the engage. It's all slightly off, slightly askew, and the cost is the first blood to BBQ.
Yeah, and Max actually going for the headbutt pole rather than the just headbutt back into his teammates as well. Probably a bit of a mistake at that point. However, all with the benefit of hindsight, looks much better or much worse. As that's another mark going over to Trick. Been pretty good at picking up all of these scuttles hanging around the map. Ignar going to turn up towards the mid lane. Ian could be in trouble, but Scar's there, so we'll have that moment of untargetability that should keep him out of harm's way.
Kept his flash as well, so kill pressure not going to be significant onto the Kled.
Yeah. Lunges his way out of the way there.
Bit of ward clearing is, oh, how frustrating.
Yeah. The worst. Well, that feels good. Tempt actually managed to hit the blue buff with his Force Lightning. And Trick is going to be able to take down the Grom. Moving to clear the rest of his jungle. Things quietening down on the map at the moment as the dust settles. It's almost 1,000 gold lead for BBQ. But after game one, we've got to temper our excitement just a little bit.
Pilot could also be the late game insurance here. Only marksman on the side of MVP. Trick, of course, the counterpoint on the side of BBQ. In terms of 5v5s, BBQ definitely have a lot of answers to the charge in from the Kled, as they have Swain, Vladimir, Gragas, and Cho'Gath for space control. Can zone a lot in team fights. But MVP from ahead can be pretty deadly. They're not ahead at this point, and Trick, with a very fast Blood Racer after first blood, blows up the Inferno Dragon.
Yeah, he's going to explode it. And this has not been what's been happening normally. It's normally red side that does have a bit of a monopoly on these Drakes, as ADD, like you were talking about before, starting to win out on these trades on the top side. The Hyper Proc working really well against Crazy, who likes to build a bit of health. Nara into the wall as Yondu's going to turn up as well. Nails the ultimate. See you later, Dinosaur Man. It's a good double rupture, but that was after you were dead, buddy, and that's not what you want to do. Tempt taking the extended trade is not what you really want to do as the charge going to be used negatively. Good flash comes out from Tempt, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The displacement comes in as Ian still has to flash and will get his way out.
Trader Summoners might be more costly for the Swain than it is for the more mobile Kled, and this is all at the same time as MVP might just solo it down as here's Ignar.
Yeah, flash comes in from Ignar. Ian, oh, the barrel from downtown. Nothing he could do after he was slowed. First turret does go over to MVP on the top side, but BBQ should be able to answer in mid if they get another minion wave in time.
Here comes Santa Gragas. The only present is a faster buy timing for the mid laner. Nicely done from Ignar. No call, you would imagine, and just didn't expect Ignar to be so bold. If Ignar is one thing, it's bold.
Oh, hell yeah, it is. Yeah, he is. As that Ignite, perfectly calculated, then sees the fact that he didn't quite have the damage and bopped him on the head with a big old cask. I like it. Ian going to move towards the mid lane. They didn't lose the turret, which is actually a huge deal. It means that MVP now have the gold lead, but Dragon's going in favor of BBQ, picking up that kill in the mid lane. Certainly did look good.
Sucky thing for Cho'Gath is that Cho'Gath in a short lane, a bully, very powerful, a lot of ranged farming. With no turret, the charge top side could be big as bot side.
Okay, Sanguine Pool's going to come in. Yondu looking for even more. Not going to commit as they've got a minion wave that is coming up. Vision of Empire once again going to come in as Ian's just getting punished for this Kled pit. Jumps off Skull, but this time going to get taken down by Crazy, who just yells at him. Ian complaining about the fact that they're just camping him.
Cho'Gath just left lane and made a play. That's what you need to do when you have no turret as a Cho'Gath. Difficult times against the Gnar. They will get that mid lane turret. Make the Kled much more accountable. Fortunate stuff there, and taking the mid lane turret's a big boon for BBQ compared to the top lane turret that MVP had earlier claimed.
And it means that now the map going to be a whole lot wider on the top side, meaning that this Rift Herald should be an option for BBQ as it is available now. See whether they can get there.
That has been unable to farm for the better part of 2 to 3 minutes and been sitting on 80-odd CS. Has Ian way
it's
behind
only
the
gonna
clock.
get worse. It's only going to get worse now that that turret's missing.
Definitely, I mean, he can side lane pretty comfortably as a Kled, but I take your point. It is obviously going to be no quick fix for the fact that this first item is going to be super delayed onto Ian. Usually want to go Phage into Tiamat, into something, Titanic Hydra or Black Cleaver, depending on the enemy comp, and right now maybe he's going to dive his way to the Titanic Hydra.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of mixed school of thought. It's exactly what Grace did as well on the Renekton, Titanic Hydra and Black Cleaver. Order irrelevant. Just get both of them. as this turret is at full health. Thank you very much, observers. Max comes in, is going to help clear the minion wave, but speaking of which, once again, another wave is not going to make it to the turret. Okay, pullback comes down as there's the charge. Tempt copying a bit of damage here as Yondu makes his way in, finds the ultimate. Can they get rid of him? Oh god, the Lamb's Respite right on the edge from Trick as Tempt survives. Long cooldown, but a lot invested to try and get that as well.
Trick's been really good about being in position to bail out his mid laner. Twice we would have seen a kill onto the Swain. Both of them averted by the Lamb's Respite. A lot of value from that ability we didn't see from Bono in the previous game. And on cooldown again means he can't try and dunk the Cho'Gath and make a big roam play. He'll back away. That's about 14 CS on. Probably not too much closer. The Titanic Hydra he desperately wants to pick up.
Thankfully for Ian, he's able to get above that 80-odd CS mark, which is good news. MVP going to utilize this opportunity of Ignar being in base to try and take Shelly down.
Trick's red buff did steal away the blue from the Swain, though.
That's unfortunate. Trying to get that with the Vision of Empire, I remember, but Max looking for the flanking play. They're actually setting themselves up for a turn here as Shelly getting taken down dangerously low. They do pop the eye. They will go for this headbutt. Going to be flashed out of the way by Trick. Remember, no Lamb's Respite in here as Yondu picks himself up the Rift Herald. Now Hemo Plague down on the back line. Ghost looking to try and get in, but doesn't actually commit very far. The Barrel trying to do some work slowing down MVP, but they're just going to move into their jungle and continue trying to take down their buffs.
That seemed like a fight where the deck was stacked for BBQ because the Gnar bar was entirely absent, the charge was down, but there wasn't a hard commit from anyone other than Ghost. No follow-up possible, it seemed, from the rest of BBQ. They end up getting the Rift Herald and getting out, so overall, a good moment for MVP.
Yeah, got the Rift Herald, got out, and got their red buff. No worries there at all. It was as if BBQ didn't even turn up for that fight in the river.
I think if you're counting your cooldowns, you just say, let's go. This is a great time. The enemy's item timings are delayed. They've used some tools. They had a good Hemo Plague, but no one else was joining. That was a sick birthday party that no one showed up to.
Yeah, Ghost's birthday party. Oh, they're playing the Vladimir again. I guess I'm not going to come to this party.
I mean, he was there. Unfortunately, no one else showed up.
Yeah.
A lot of attack speed onto the Kindred.
That's a lot of daggers.
5 already. Damn.
Oh, Ignar can just get out of the way here. True Shot Barrage scouting out the dragon. I do notice that, yes, it is not there. I want to check in on the marks that Trix managed to pick up, but haven't been able to just yet. Swain doing a hell of a lot of damage as Ian's trying to survive this laning phase. But the same thing happening on the top side of the map. Some abuse cases in the solo lanes by the looks.
Not teleporting back to base. He's going to TP in. Doesn't have a Narvar. This might be too late.
Yep, Yondu still considering trying to find a fight here as the charge is going to come in. Now the rest of MVP all turn up. Big headbutt pole from Max as this Dragon Pit is not where you want to be as a BBQ fan. Everyone going low, but Crazy, can he get the CC at the right time? He damn well can as BBQ just erupt over the fight. Tempt is going to be able to grab one more as Pilot wants to try and clean this one up. We're waiting for the Crimson Rush. We get it. And that's going to be Ghost grabbing the kill on the back end. And look at this, Crazy, he's got his whole health bar. Ignar happy to get in there, and Crazy even gonna flash. I mean, I don't think it was necessary, but damn, it looked cool, just like BBQ's team fight.
The ace for BBQ, the Lamb's Respite getting obscene amounts of value. If you watch the replay, they think they've corralled the enemy. They don't have a Mega Gnar. The timing here isn't fantastic. They charge in and say, we're going to get there first. They're right. They get so many health bars low, but they can't finish off because of the Lamb's Respite. Crazy gets an insanely massive Q, and they're just able to kill members that are so perilously low. Pilot just wants a standard fight where he can just barrage front to back. This is far from that, and unfortunately for Pilot, his front line dies for free.
Yeah, that the Rupture was just so much, but like you were saying, oftentimes you can see Lamb's Respite working for or against a team because it affects everyone the same way, doesn't really matter, but the fact that that Rupture just got in there, perfect timing, knocks everyone up and then everyone dies. Just not a whole lot that MVP could do at that point. They'd already blown all of their CC. That was all she wrote. Nicely done, MVP. Now, here in the mid lane, trying to push forward with Pilot, but 8-3 is the kill score. Gold basically even, but this is certainly confidence that BBQ needs to start putting the screws in this game.
Well, Ian is definitely one who is feeling the pain of those screws you're alluding to. He's at 130 CS at 18, not 100 minutes. 18 minutes into the game, so definitely 50 behind the clock at best. Remember, the clock's been all over the place. That was an ult.
Okay.
That happens. We'll live for that.
And Shelly's
That
interrupted as well.
may have been the worst Sejuani player ever.
I think it was. And we saw Blank player yesterday, and that was also extraordinarily bad.
You know, after that happened, I might have just flashed if I was a Sejuani.
Yeah, probably.
And then called for a ref.
Yeah. Oh god, that's when you accidentally pressed your R button instead of your 4 button, and then press the 4 button anyway when you just showed like exactly where you were, and now you're gonna lose a blue buff that resets. So I guess it's gonna take a while for you to lose it, but still you do.
I think I'm losing it, thinking back to what just happened. Well,
take a moment. Just take a moment.
Okay, I'm gonna.
We need a mental reset.
Let's have a 20-second
we
recess.
Need a mental,
1945. We'll come back.
Well, turret taken on the bottom side of the map, just to interrupt our bit of quiet time that we needed.
I feel better now.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I'm now one with the Sejuani.
I'm not. I've forgotten the Sejuani. Stop it. Get off my screen.
Well,
Krug camp towards the top side is going to be where the mark's at, though. See whether MVP are going to take that one as soon as possible. Whether Trick's going to be able to get over there and get himself another mark. In good news for MVP, there is a Trinity Force being completed on Pilot. So he's hit that 2-item spike we talk about a lot. Wants to get the transform on the Mirror Mana.
There's plenty of good news, but majority of it is there's still light at the end of the tunnel. There's the fact that BBQ have shown they are very unable to close games when they have a lead. Now, they have Trick in the lineup, so theoretically, he's got a lot more experience winning than Bono, so you would think he would be a little bit more adept in that scenario. Miramana will transform soon, so like you mentioned, the Ezreal ready to go in many ways, and if they can actually get something out of the Mega Gnar, I think they could actually wombo the enemy. The Mega Gnar, remember, could just be used to scoop people out of the Lamb's Respite, for example.
Yeah.
Or stun and kill the Kindred before the Lamb's Respite can be used. You just need something along those lines, because so far they've been just corralling themselves into getting maximum value for BBQ out of that Kindred ulti.
And you'd be hoping that they wouldn't just throw themselves into another situation like that. At the moment, 3,000 gold is the lead. That's it. No worries there at all. Execution is calling, just being completed here from Pilot. A to D now just avoiding Crazy. He's feeling pretty good now that he's got a recurve bow as well. See whether that's played to the Ruin King. Good God, look at the Hyperprocs. Probably wanted just to stay in Mini Gnar form there. Pesky Mega Gnar ruining my ability to kill Cho'Gath.
It could be a Rage Blade or, like you mentioned, a Blade of the Ruin King. Saw the Rage Blade quite frequently, so that when you have 2 auto attacks, you stack up the Hyper, and it's really damn annoying.
Yeah, it's the bonk, 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 bonk every time. I like it. Every 2 hits getting the proc.
A lot of nerfs towards the item, but I don't think they affect the Gnar too much. Doesn't care so much about the AD reduction. It's all about the Hyper box that is buying that item. Wait and see. Both of them have some value.
You can see he's sieging up on the bottom side of the map, so the matchup working out in his favor. However, 4-1-2 now after all of those teamfight victories from Crazy. It's not like a whole lot of work is going to be done against him, as in goes Ian once again. Remember, Ghost has a lot of tools here. Hemo Plate goes down. The chase is certainly on. The dismount will probably come in. Skull, nope. Going to remain with Kled for the moment.
Interaction we might have to return to. You did notice the tether does apply during the Sanguine pull. It's what kept the Vladimir from disengaging expediently. Looking at the health numbers, and the Observer wants to show us that 121 damage has been done to the turret, probably by minions.
Yeah, Trick once again going to continue monopolizing these dragons. Ignar turns up from the other side of the map, and that's what happens when you've opened the base completely on the bottom side. 3rd dragon in a row on the blue side. Goes against everything that we've experienced so far today.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah?
Why does Yondu have tabbies?
Because he likes them?
Is it in top 3 of his misplays this game? Probably not.
No, it's definitely not. Who has the biggest misplay in the LCK this season, Crazy or Yondu?
Crazy.
Is it still worse?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I ask that every time someone makes a misplay. It's good to keep things in perspective. It's probably against Trick. If Yondu finds Trick, he dies less fast.
Uh-huh. How about the insane amount of CC and magic damage from everybody that isn't Trick?
Oh, well, come on, Papa. You asked me why he did buy it, and that's a reason why you would buy it. Whether it's a good idea to buy it, different question.
He's got
completely.
so much armor, baby.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
got the armor from the good old... it's multiple items he's got going on here. The Knight's Vow is certainly going to be helping him,
Yeah.
but that's, of course, just because you need the Knight's Vow, not about the armor quotient.
Oh, dear. Good old...
It's been a funny old game for good old
It's been
Sejuani.
a funny old day, to
It
be
has
honest.
been. Kingzone did lose the first series. Spoilers.
They did. And they did it in such amazing fashion. The Zillion Sejuani lane that could have been a stroke of genius was almost like a stroke, just in general. They should have possibly been taken to the hospital. After that one, it was a bit of a disaster.
The Ruin King slowly being pieced together by ADD as they can kill Baron pretty fast.
They are just going to check it out. Not a lot of vision available, but at least a lot of members are hanging around here.
They're
Max
not going
is
to run
turn
out
up as
from
well.
ADD as well.
Okay, well, MVP, they know exactly what is going on. Ghost setting himself up for another flank. It's okay, Hemo Plague on a couple of members. Ian wants to charge his way in, but Pilot might just be dead. He is. And Ghost is going to be able to lock down that kill. Max, he's going to die at the same time. And MVP, they look absent this game. They've dropped the ball. ADD's bottom side. He's given up on his team, and he's definitely given up now on the Baron.
With the teleport with no Mega Gnar, it would have been the same problem that happened before. BBQ don't have 2 smites, but they have the Feast to be able to secure this one. They'll still want to chase away Yondu. Doesn't seem like he needs too much of an introduction to know that it's not time for the Baron for MVP. BBQ going to take it. Couldn't close the game with 2 Barons in game number 1. But it does feel at this time it's going to be a bit different.
Yeah, you'd hope so. It feels like Trick is leading the charge for his team, which is ironic given the fact that the charge is on the other side. And it has led MVP into some troubling situations, much like right now in this replay.
Really well played by Ghost. We've criticized BBQ's bot lane Vladimir's for good reason. They've struggled so far this season, but Ghost finds his man, assassinates him, get the bonus kill on the back end, because someone's going to milk those. Bye-bye Alistair, bye-bye Baron. Hello, big lead for BBQ, but they couldn't break the base with 2 Barons in game number 1. Time for them to level up and break the base now.
Yeah, is it going to be a different story this time around is the question. MVP now dealing with these Baron up minions in the mid lane, but looks like BBQ going to try and get some sort of reset. Bunch of vision now available as Ignar is well and truly deep in the enemy territory. ADD, once again, bottom side of the map. Waves getting shoved is certainly good news for MVP as Kled top and bottom lane will be helping.
But the issue is, the AD is like, I've got great items to kill Cho'Gath, but Cho'Gath's going to group and dive now, so unfortunately, the 1v1 scenario was ended by the Baron buff being picked up.
Tempt is top side. Still only 3 members here in the mid lane, but these are 3 members that are way stronger and way more difficult to kill than the 3 members that MVP have. And the first time of asking this time around, they're able to break open the base and take the inhibitor in the mid lane. BBQ, signs of life, and this is what we wanted to see in game number 1. All right, charge comes down, uninterruptible, so Ignar not going to get any value out of
Good
the
move
cast.
there. That buys them a turret. BBQ going to get another one, but this is the right thing for ADD to do. Cho'Gath going to be recalled. No more free inhibitor turrets for MVP.
Well, he's going to try. See whether he can get some damage down there, as this is a big minion wave and a big problem for MVP. They may just lose
BBQ
2
can dive
inhibitors.
this if they want to.
They don't
even
need to. There's a turret that's dead. And the inhibitor should follow. ADD gives up on his attempt at the bottom side as they're looking for a flank. Ult flies through from Yondu as they jump on top of the Lamb's Respite. But do we have the Mega Gnar is the question. The flash, the Mega Gnar into the wall. But is ADD getting anything done? I don't think so. Ignar right on the back line, getting the cow out of the fight. Ghost once again going to pop off. It is going to be the full house, and it's Cho'Gath's full of Vladimir's.
And that means BBQ have gone from 2 to 3 game wins. So important for them. We already mentioned a couple of times, if not today, you're running out of time for that series victory. The victor for the majority of game number 1, but no cigar. They do get a cigar in game number 2.
And Ignar once again retains his swagger as well. You saw him having a dance around the Baron pit. This time around, Ignar making it look great on the Gragas as well. Ghost coming into his own. Finally, we've got a bottom lane victory for the Vladimir. BBQ Olivers, we haven't seen this particular graphic for quite some time. And they will bring us to game number 3 of the night. This is a longie. Haven't had too many longies with you, Papa Smithy, but this one, well, so far, this round robin, hasn't been very long, though. I was just very proud of my last day.
Excuse me, this round robin has been 2 games going to 3, baby, because we just started today.
Oh, that's true. This week, anyway.
I'm ready. Let's just go. Every time, 3 games. A bit of parity between BBQ and MVP. Deserved. I think BBQ were able to stick the landing this time. Should have done it in game number 1. Could have been a 2-0. On another day, should have been a 2-0. It won't be. And now the boards are out. Now the black books need to be looked at very closely, as MVP do not want to be the first team to fall to BBQ Olivers.
And it's interesting because it's double blue side wins so far in this series. Hasn't been how things have worked out so far today, but has been for this particular series. MVP trying to gather their thoughts. Some things going wrong in drafting phase, but honestly, I felt like Trick played the Lambs of Spites extraordinarily well. BBQ just together as a unit, a lot more controlled. And honestly, they looked like the team that had won the game before. They didn't look like the team who were struggling, whose communication had broken down, any of those things. They looked like a team that was riding off the back of 2 pretty powerful mages in the mid and bottom lane.
And the Kled mid was once again not the strongest in this particular game. It was well answered. The CES levels were just too low and just wasn't able to really impact the game. It also made them so gung-ho in the engages that they never really had a Kled and a Gnar in the right spot together until the final fight, and by then the gold lead was able to answer any of the compositional nuances. So BBQ close it out. It's a bot lane Vladimir. It's a victory. And now suddenly it's a best of 1 for all the marbles.
It is best of 1 for BBQ's very first victory here in the LCK for 2018 summer. MVP wanting to try and get themselves to 4 match wins, which is so important for them to challenge SKT's current position. After their loss against Hanwha, certainly the opportunity for them to do that. But MVP in game number 2 and game number 1 did not necessarily look like the best teams on the Rift. We'll see whether they can sort it out for game 3. Don't go anywhere.